Hey people, CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 31 of Ace Attorney Investigations. Last time, we talked to Bad about the Agarasu. We learned basically how he and Faraday were basically looking for it. We did some more investigating, and we're going to get back to things. Anyways, we're also going to pick up the evidence. Now, anyways, let's go talk to Francisco. Let's see if we can present that perfume. I just want to see. Oh, evidence turns roll. Let's see what this one is. It looks like your debut trial fizzled out thanks to it being declared a mistrial. Too bad. But now you can take your time biting the evidence they transfer to you goodbye. Bidding the evidence to you goodbye. What is wrong with me today? It's much too early to show the pieces that we were given to me. Oh, how do you figure? Two of the pieces were used to kill Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. Naturally, having all of them makes it easier for me to examine them more thoroughly. Yes, of course. Don't tell me. You forgot about that fact, didn't you, Francisca? I don't have to answer the characteristically foolish questions of a foolish fool. Now hurry up and check the evidence already. Trust me, I will, in due time. I have no interest in that perfume or in that woman. Here we are trying to be serious, and all she does is break out into laughter. It's borderline rude. Francisca seems to hold some ill will towards Miss Yu, although, between whipping people all the time and laughing when people are being serious, I'm not sure which one I find more annoying. Ah! The former! You were thinking about something bad about me just now, weren't you? I take it back. Miss Yu is slightly less annoying due to the lack of physical pain. Oh, let's see what Francisca has to say about the promise notebook. Let's see her daddy if she's coming to the... It looks like some sort of exchange diary that girl shared with her father. We're alike, that girl and I, because they're both admirable and prosecutors. We look up to our fathers. The only difference is that her father is now dead, and her father was imperfect, unlike Papa, who is the embodiment of perfection. If my father, who is the anchor of my life, were to die, I don't know what I'd do. You needn't worry about that. But Miles Edgeworth, I would probably go on some spree. I'd try to get revenge on the person who did it. I'd prosecute a trial in which there's Mo the Clown. Even if he weren't to be killed, Mr. Von Karma's spirit would still go on living. Unfortunately enough, it'd be like a wraith. It'd just be hovering on the room. Don't talk about Papa like he's some sort of ghost. Edgeworth, he's clearly a vampire. Now it's always to be a compliment. Worth it! Scruffy's annual bonus envelope. What a useless piece of evidence. Yes, well, obvious point aside, what do you think about the low amount of money? A pathetic amount for a detective. I think it rather suits him. But don't you think it's a bit too low, even for an officer like him? By his pay, I can tell he's a fool that I'd never trust anything to do. A foolish fool like him would only botch my record with foolish mistakes, which he does, funny enough. Gumshoe did manage to take down all three of the Von Karmas. Just everyone of the Von Karma school thought Gumshoe was taken down. First Edgeworth, then Manfred himself, and then Francisca. They all weren't safe from his wrath. Well, not that it matters. I'll never have to work with that pathetic fool anyways. That was a bit harsh, even for you, Francisca. Swiss roll. Scruffy seems to have taken a real liking to that little girl. Indeed, for him to cover for her to the point of taking the blame for the murder, despite only knowing her for such a short period of time. He must be a frightfully big softy. He may be a fool, but I guess I can recognize his soft side as one good point about him, which means he is about as unlikable and thankless as a small child now in my mind. Which really means that your opinion of him hasn't really changed a bit, has it? I am sorry if my voicing is all off today. Okay. Now, let's get going. So this is the evidence related to today's Tondopian embassy trial from Mr. Faraday's bag. You mean the evidence bag that he was on the table in lobby number 2, right? Yes, finally, we can now take a good look at the evidence itself, and not just data about them. Let's be sure to thoroughly examine them while we have the time. Agreed. I want to take a good look at all the evidence from the embassy murder too. And why is that? Because I still don't fully understand what today's trial was about. Gah! Don't put your rank on at me just because you don't know something. And don't you try to order me around just because Papa chose you today. I see someone is still sore about not being picked by Mr. Von Karma. It's also real to see the knife up close. So, we have the knife, the gun, and an envelope. And what's this organizer doing here?
Oh, that's right, I completely forgot to tell you.
About what, Your Honor?
They found Mr. Faraday's personal organizer inside that evidence bag of his. Detective Bad requested it be passed along to you. He said it would help in the investigation.
Detective Bad said that.
What a strange stroke of luck!
Well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. We might as well flip through it. Okay, wait. There's a note that was slipped into my door. Okay, so, never mind. I was just seeing something. Yes, the nook and cranny. It's the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday.
Who would have thought that such a beautiful piece of art could be used for such a cruel act?
And it's never crossed your mind that you use your riding crop for the wrong purpose? This gun, it was originally used to kill the Cadovian embassy staff member. When the crime was reported, the responding police officer found Mr. Rell still holding it, which led to his immediate arrest.
And then, this gun took the original shooter's life. How ironic.
Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything else we can learn from this piece of evidence. Mr. Faraday's organizer, it appears he was in the habit of using it.
It looks like he wrote a strategy for getting Mr. Rell convicted down here.
Yes, I have collected the evidence I need to prove Mr. Rell was the killer. Between the handgun Rell had on him when he was arrested and the surveillance tape, I should be able to prove that he was the one.
Essentially the Heaven Von Karma strategy.
It appears that Mr. Faraday honestly believed that Mr. Rell was the killer in the case.
Yes.
And it would also appear that he has proof that Mr. Rell was not the Yatagarasu. And he apparently also had a definitive piece of evidence. Yes, I believe that Mr. Faraday was well prepared to discredit any claim Mr. Rell may have made about being the real Yatagarasu.
And he had a way to prove that Mr. Rell was the guilty party in the embassy murder.
This organizer is a clue straight down from Faraday. I'll have to take my time and give it a thorough read later.
We read it just now. Look, there's a picture stuck in between the pages here.
It appears to be a key.
It's a rather ornate one. Just look at the design of the handle.
The craftsmanship is superb. Could this be the Yatagarasu key Mr. Faraday mentioned in his organizer?
The Yatagarasu's key?
Detective Bad said something earlier.
What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Cadovian embassy, the Yatagarasu.
The Yatagarasu sent the evidence?
Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others, knew about. Mr. Faraday must have been trying to keep the secret key safe.
As the prosecutor on both the Yatagarasu and smuggling ring cases, that is to be expected. Wait, did I read an Edgeworth line in Francisca's voice? Ugh. That's odd.
What is it?
Mr. Faraday didn't mention anything about a knife in his organizer.
That certainly is odd.
The weapon that was used to kill the Cadovian embassy staff member was the gun. But if that's the case, then where did the knife that was used to murder Mr. Faraday come from?
Isn't it obvious it was brought to the courts by Mr. Rell? That's the only logical conclusion, right?
No, because it's not that easy to smuggle a weapon like that in here. Every person who enters the courthouse is checked thoroughly for contraband. Furthermore, the suspect was handcuffed, making it impossible for him to bring a knife as large as this inside.
In that case, how do you suppose the knife ended up inside the courthouse?
I need to think carefully here. There's nothing related to the knife written anywhere in Mr. Faraday's organizer.
In case you haven't realized it, the knife and the Yatagarasu's key are one and the same.
However, it is a fact that this knife came from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Conversely, there is one item listed in Mr. Faraday's organizer that no one has claimed to have seen today. So in order to solve this mystery, I believe I will need to take another good look at the evidence. Miles Edgeworth, can I take the fact that you have yet to answer me to mean that you don't have an answer to me? Actually, I do know the answer, Francisca. What? Then what is it? One of the pieces of evidence we've been holding has been hiding a secret of its own. And it was thought this piece of evidence that it was through this piece of evidence that the knife was brought to the courthouse.
Take that!
This is Yatagarasu's key Mr. Faraday mentioned in his organizer. This is how the knife was brought into the courthouse. You're not making any sense, Miles Edgeworth. You just need to look a bit closer, Francisca, to see what I mean. Don't the color and ornamentation of the key's handle remind you of anything? They do remind me of the knife. Very good. Both the Yatagarasu's key in this photo and the murderous knife have this very unique design to their handles. Furthermore, even though Miss Faraday mentions the Yatagarasu's key, the only object we found at the crime scene was the knife. You don't mean to say... No, but I do. It appears that you finally caught up. And yes, I do mean to say that these two pieces are in fact one and the same. But that's impossible! Even if that is what you believe, we should still investigate the possibility. Now then, let's examine this knife in a little more detail. It's the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Faraday. The handle and the blade itself both have beautiful designs worked into them. Look, there's even a flower-shaped design in the gold section here. If this hadn't been used as a tool for murder, I'd want it for myself. She seems to be drawn to the embellishments. Too bad this isn't mine to give. Okay. Okay, let's just see. Oh, come on. Trying to rotate the knife. Okay. Okay. Okay, am I missing something? Ah, here we are. I can't believe it turned into a key! To think there was such a trick to this thing! So the weapon used to kill Mr. Faraday was actually the key the Yatagarasu stole. This piece of information is more critical than anything we've learned up until now. Frankly, I'm shocked! Mr. Faraday only mentioned the key aspect of this piece of evidence in his organizer. It's possible that even he had no idea that the key was hiding a knife blade inside. But if that's true, then only someone who knew about the key and knife trick could have killed Mr. Faraday. Even among law enforcement, this key was top secret. We're looking for someone who knew even more about the key than even Mr. Faraday, meaning that the only person it could be is the one who sent the key in the first place, the great thief Yatagarasu. Then maybe Mr. Rowe really was the Yatagarasu, and he was the one who killed Mr. Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario? No, not really, especially since Mr. Faraday was absolutely convinced Mr. Rowe was not the Yatagarasu. Besides, as Detective Bad said earlier.
But when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was.
I see. Alright then, I guess the person who knows the trick behind this key is someone else, and that person is the real Yatagarasu. It seems that this key is truly the key to solving this case. Not entirely intended. Okay. I took a quick look through these documents before the trial started. Well, I wasn't even afforded the opportunity to skim it. I suppose I should explain it to you then. Yes, you should. Perfectly and in its entirety, if you please. On the night of September 8th, an embassy staff member was killed in front of the embassy. The staff member died of shock due to being shot in the heart. Mac Rowe was brought in that night as a suspect and thoroughly questioned, because the murder weapon was found on him, for which he was arrested on the spot. A simple dumb man, that's what he was. Perhaps he was, for the weapon wasn't the only incriminating evidence we had. Mr. Rell was caught in the act on film by a security camera. He was an even bigger simpleton than I thought. I can't believe he didn't notice a security camera. The Cadopian Embassy's security system is supposedly very well designed. You may have simply not been aware that there was a camera in the area. So, have you seen the contents of the video for yourself? Yes, the surveillance video the security camera took was played during the trials by Mr. Faraday. You can clearly identify Mr. Rowe on it. Even the sound of the gunshot was crystal clear. So the footage included sound, huh? I don't think I'd ever want to see the moment of someone's death in real life. Me neither. That's odd. We're short one piece of evidence. And the piece that's missing is the surveillance video that was played in court. The surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where'd it go? That video showing the moment in which Mr. Bell committed the murder. Where could it have gone indeed?
Are you done with your inspection of the evidence?
Yes, I'm finished. However, Your Honor, I am missing a single piece of prosecutorial evidence. Your Honor? Where you derelict in your duties?
What? No, I dare not lick my duties. What do you take me for?
No, Your Honor, the most important piece of evidence in today's trial. The surveillance video is not amongst the evidence you laid out before me.
But I brought Mr. Faraday's whole bag with me from the crime scene. Maybe the cape is still somewhere at the crime scene.
There's something wrong here. Something about this missing piece of evidence. Oh, but that music cut was just eerie. It would appear that for me to find the answers I seek, I will have to pay another visit to the scene of the crime. Defendant lobby number 2. September 10th, 6 p.m., District Court, defendant lobby number 2. That's Detective Bad, but who is he with? I've never seen that officer before!
So, did you find it?
No, not yet, and I've looked everywhere.
I see. Well then, please continue with the search.
I will, but do be warned that without my tight leather, I cannot think clearly. I need to stop all blood from circulating to my lower half. I need to keep it in my brain. That is how Lang Z defeated all his enemies. Understood. I'll continue the search. So you're the one running this show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't even be allowed at crime scenes. How dare you! Just who do you think you are? I'm not telling you my name until Kidnap Turnabout. You'll learn it in the Wild Wild West area. What was that all about? Who was that man just now? Whoever it was, I'd never seen a more impudent officer in my life. Does he even know that we're standing right here behind him?
I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want, kids?
It looks like you were paying attention after all. That's why he has a mirror.
Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head.
Ah, so that mirror isn't for vanity's sake. It's for him to keep an eye out on who or what is behind him at all times. So tell me, Detective Bad, who was that rude man just now?
The guy came here from the Republic of Zangfa to study. He's Agent Lang. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world to study different philosophies of detainment from scratch.
And all the while saying that they're crap in favor of Lang Z. By visiting various police departments around the world, he has a lot of dedication.
He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. The guy is more useful than Gumshoe, even if he is rude.
That's not saying much! A ham sandwich is more useful than Gumshoe! Well, he sure has a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time! I agree, however, I can think of one young lady that Satan also applies to. Anyways, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad? Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well.
Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you.
I highly doubt that it has nothing to do with me. Fine, if this is the game I was playing, then I will take the opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight to him. Earlier you were in lobby number 1, and now you're here in lobby number 2. You are quite the busy man, Detective Bat.
Multiple returns to a crime scene bring about success. That's what we detectives say.
I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked about what happened again, correct?
I don't have anything left to say to you, boy.
Boy! You'll see, I will draw my answer from you, one way or another. Would it kill you to help us even a tiny bit in our investigation?
Yes. I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think?
Ugh! Please, we're asking you for just a bit more of your cooperation.
Don't push me, kid.
Detective Bad, did you know of the existence of the item in this photograph?
Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Yatagarasu case.
In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and this Yatagarasu's key are one and the same?
What?
That's impossible. It looks like he didn't know after all. This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagarasu's key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagarasu's key to prove that Mr. Bell was not the real Yatagarasu. Isn't that correct?
I guess so.
However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was, in fact, a knife.
Yeah, I have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact. And if neither of us knew, then no one in law enforcement knew either. How did we miss something as big as this?
I noticed that since a little while ago, you appear to be searching for something. I presume that this key is what you were searching for.
Yeah, that's right.
And why were you searching for it?
Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect that key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from Faraday's evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life?
Detective Bad, so that we may find the truth, please testify me once more.
Alright, but it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing will change.
Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1.
My answer is still the same. And that is the last time I'm going to do this.
That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything out. And find the truth behind this case.
Detective Bad's movements. I was in lobby number 1, talking with you. We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. When I heard it, you and I immediately dashed down to the hallway together. I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and then we all ran to lobby number 2.
It sounds like the exact same story he told us before. Indeed, however, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information that we can.
Hold it!
Why did Miss Yu choose lobby number 1? Answer me!
Who knows? She just said that she had something she wanted to talk to me about. And we walked into lobby number 1 together. That's all.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting some mucus. So his answer remains the same as before. I see.
Hold it!
I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Miss Yu.
Trivial stuff. It was nothing important.
That's for me to decide! Alright, I suppose that's for him to decide. Moving on then.
Hold it!
Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary?
I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot.
If the gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder, that would give the other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask that you please amend your testimony with that statement just now.
Sure.
Basically,
Objection!
The balloon!
Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything?
It's the same color as the one Kay was holding.
Oh, so you knew about that girl's balloon?
Yeah, I was staying with her up in the gallery during the recess just before we split up. I filed that balloon up for her.
Well, as you may have already surmised, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon.
So, what about the balloon?
I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point.
What are you getting at?
This fragment was found in the hallway right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of this balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot.
Oh, so the sound that the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh?
On top of that, His Honor said that he heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to reconvene. Yes, which means that His Honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway when you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. And if you were in lobby number 1 at the time, you were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well.
So?
What? Don't give me a so! I'll give you a pay cut then! We just proved that there is a flaw in your testimony.
The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet, naive crackling. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked.
Well, what is that supposed to mean?
The doors and the walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it off, even the curtains are made of a special sound-absorbing material.
Then you mean...
Since I was shoved inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard that sound.
No! I knew that's what he was going to say. Then that means that Scrubface's testimony is completely useless. If the rooms are soundproof, then of course he wouldn't have hear a sign of a struggle. No!
That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now do you get it, kids?
Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic, not the other way around. The other way around? It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if one were in lobby number 1. However, we examine this situation in reverse. A person standing in the hallway should not have been able to hear the real gunshot either. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bad? If that is the case, how exactly do you hear the gunshot?
What do you mean, how? I just did.
It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words.
Oh, how so?
If the rooms are as soundproof as you claim they are, then how did the sound of the gunshot enter your ears?
I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday murder than I had thought.
Which means that what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this: there must be a reason as to how Detective Bang and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have. It looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? The state of the crime scene. Wait, can it be?
It's the ultra strong perfume he wears. She spilled some of it.
Ah! And way too noisy! The surveillance video! How can a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go?
Very loud television.
Ah! The pieces don't fit together. It's quite right. Okay. It's simply not possible for the killer to have escaped through barred windows. And yet the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape from defendant lobby number 1. Of course! Incorporeal things can move freely through these open barred windows. Now then, what else besides the smell can go in and out of an open barred window? The answer is sound! Sir, no matter how careful the killer was, if the windows were open, the jig would be up. And since the windows in both defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of a gunshot could be heard in both locations. The missing piece of evidence is a video that shows the moment in which Mr. L killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for the recess, and brought back here. If it's disappeared after that time, then it's possible that the tape is still there in this room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. Miles, what have you been thinking about? And then the episode's off now. Anyways, I really appreciate that you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer. If you come back for the next one, if you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do as they want. And with that, I'll see you later. Bye.